in 5, 4, 3.
Uh, 27 years on the air is something to consider at the beginning. You know, we have been transmitting this about education for 27 years, thanks to the efforts of John Karhoff, who is not with us now, and Michael Peterson, his associate producer. And I have had the privilege to be the producer and the host of this for many years now. So this tonight it'll be our third live transmission and taped program to the viewers of Channel 18 Public Access TV, as well as the Education Channel, where we broadcast or we air our program regularly, maybe twice a week or 3 times a week. Tonight is a very special night because we have 3 I would call warriors for this community. People who came forward to donate their time, their efforts, their sweat in order to help in a cause which is not really rewarding. I don't think a lot of people will come and see you at Hy-Vee and say, "Oh, thank you, Karen, for what you did." Some people will attack you for no reason or for less information. So this is a noble mission that you are carrying now. It reminds me of the missionary who go there, put their lives on the frontier in order to help people, save lives. And you are one of them. And you have to be proud of that. Whether you win or you don't win, you are winning already. You are winning, and I see the viewers who are watching you now looking at your faces and say, how can these people do that? And there is a purpose here that we have this meeting with Laura Westmeyer and Charlie Eastham and Karen Waltman, 3 stars in our community. I hope that you will win and be on the board to convey your message and to show that there is a voice for everybody in this community to participate, contribute. Go ahead, my co-host, Angie. She's her first show today. And Angie, go ahead.
So we intend to shed the light on less known perspectives of our school board candidates' interests, passions, and distinct traits, instead of reiterating the same professional issues that were exhausted through multiple forums throughout the last few weeks. The focus here is on the candidates' memories of their own schools and their favorites in leadership roles, literature, arts, and the sports.
Having listened to the objective of this broadcast, I would like to start by asking each one of you, is there a hero in your mind, somebody either in your past or in your readings that you look up to and you kind of use these people as idols? Let's start with you, Karen.
Oh, I didn't answer that question.
You escaped from the
I
newspaper.
escaped that
but
one.
But from this side, I mean, if you want to pass it, that's fine.
I'm going to pass on that one.
Okay,
to
sure.
Charlie.
I mean, there's no pressure at all.
Okay. Well, in your questions that you asked us earlier that for printing in the newspaper, I named a local hero, Roy Porter, who certainly in my recent past has been a guiding star for me, who has supported my work with the groups that she and I are mutually involved in, and her work in the community. And I've learned a great deal from how she goes about being a community force, and what she expects of me if I'm to have her support and approval.
Yes,
so,
Laura?
Yeah, Roy Sam is great. So I happen to have a particular family member that as he was a Catholic priest and went to Guatemala to help the people in Guatemala because the Church of Oklahoma, the Diocese of Oklahoma City, which is where I grew up, was required to, the Pope had asked many years ago for them to come up with another church in another country that they could support. So they set up a mission in Guatemala, and my cousin went down there. He was my dad's first cousin, so he grew up in the same town nearby my father, and I always knew of him and knew that he existed. And so so as a family, we always talked about him and knew what his purpose was and that he was in Guatemala. And then he was killed in 1981 for helping the Guatemalan families to have independence. And the government wasn't happy with what he was doing, so he was killed. And then last year he was martyred by the Pope, and then actually in just a couple of weeks we get to fly down to Oklahoma City and enjoy his beatification. So the Vatican will be coming down and we'll be having a beatification September 23rd. So it's pretty amazing that we've prayed that hopefully someday he'll become a saint, and we'll have a Saint Stanley maybe someday.
Quite a privilege and honor, definitely.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to read Rutina Malone's answer to this question. Rutina was unable to attend this session because she didn't feel okay today after campaigning for all these weeks. So her heroes are the Eastern Iowa Center for Worker Justice. Question?
My question for you all is, what's your memorable experience in school? Anything embarrassing, anything fun happened? And I will also start with Ruthina Malone's response, since she wasn't able to be here today. She said, entering high school during K through 8, I can't remember a time where I wasn't bullied for my disability. I did have so-called friends, but even they sometimes would call me the cruel names other kids did as a joke or to be funny. High school was the first place that it didn't happen. I felt that I belonged, and to this day I cherish many of my friends that made that possible for me.
wow.
Do you want me to start with this one? I do have a story for this one. I had a wonderful 5th grade language arts teacher, and one of the things that she did was she wrote her own spelling curriculum. And instead of giving us the list, she would dictate the list to us, and we had to write down the sounds that we heard, and then we had to go find the spellings for ourselves. And I found that to be a wonderful puzzle to solve that I enjoyed, and she was great. That was Mrs. Breifogel for 5th grade.
And what was the word that you captured from?
Syzygy. Syzygy. It took me, you had to go all the way through the dictionary to the SYs before I found that one, but that was a good one.
Charlie?
I'm going to tell a different experience than what was printed in the paper, because being on camera,
Sure.
I just
Oh yeah,
remembered
definitely.
Is this okay?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Great, okay. Just being on
Add
TV.
to the information,
Yeah.
sure.
Being on
Change
TV,
it, yeah.
I remembered something.
That's right.
High school was a while ago. In high school, I think in early high school, we had square dance clubs. Now, I went to high school in the middle of the Texas Panhandle, This was in the late 50s. So we had clubs, kids would get together, and we'd do square dancing. Square dancing is actually a great dance because you have to follow directions, you have to interact with the girls, which was a big deal then. And there's a pattern to it. There's actually a very beautiful pattern to what you're doing. And our club was invited to go to a local TV station and dance at the TV station. And I remember when we got to the studio, it was very small. So we had very little area to maneuver in, it seemed like anyway. So we kind of struggled through it. Then when I saw the broadcast, you know, things that are small, when you're doing TV, look really big when you get on, when you see the TV broadcast. And I remember that, you know, both the smallness and the bigness, as well as the interaction with other students in a disciplined, controlled environment. So,
Excellent.
Fun. I had a math teacher in high school that I really appreciated, and I went to a very small high school, so we didn't have BC calculus like we do at West High, or like they offer at the high schools here in Iowa City. But she would try her best to try to, you know, challenge me as much as she could, because we just had so many classes, and you know, it was just, so it was fun. I enjoyed her, and she was, her name is Miss Mendenhall.
That's excellent. Now let us move to your reading. I mean, you are going to be sitting and making decision about curriculum, about classrooms, about subject matters. Everything will come to your desk to look at. And you, maybe you are not the executive branch, but your voice is very important for the administration. You're guiding the road to education. So now, what kind of reading you personally have? If you want to go to a classroom and advise kids, high school for instance, or elementary school, to read something, what would be this?
Well, one of my favorite books was A Prayer for Owen Meany, and I loved the book because I think it just talked about a typical kid that, or not a typical kid, a non-typical kid that had some challenges and then found his purpose for life. And it was just one of those books that when you read it, you just, you know, everybody's got a purpose and a reason, and it's just a, you know, just a great book. And so that would be for the elementary. Well, and actually high school kids. I mean, anybody. I mean, truly anybody can. It's, yeah.
Sure.
Well, I brought to the studio today a bag with about a dozen books in it. They're pretty much all over the place, but I just want to talk about one of them. I recently read two books, actually, by Micah Pollock, I think is the right name, pronunciation. This one is entitled Caller Mute, and it's a description of the author's work in a California high school in the late 90s. It's really an ethnographic report. And the author talks a lot, writes a lot about how racial language was used in that high school by students, teachers, and administrators. And she makes a lot of points about how sometimes racial language is helpful, sometimes it's harmful, and it's important to try to understand the differences.
Sure. Karen?
My favorite genre is mysteries. So when I was a kid, I started off with Encyclopedia Brown and Nancy Drew favorites, and worked my way through Agatha Christie. And then, so the books that I chose for my favorite books to share with the newspaper is Michael Connelly's Harry Bosch series. Oh. He's a very good writer. He was a journalist before he took up novels.
And for Ruthina Malone, she would advise the book Homecoming by Yay Jayasi, and she likes Jacqueline Woodson as an author, and Ralph Waldo Ellison.
So what sorts of music do you guys like? What's your favorite bands, genres, singers, songwriters? What makes you just want to dance really crazy?
You want to start this one, Charlie?
Let's start with Charlie. Let's start with Charlie. Because
Dance really crazy. I don't do so much crazy dancing
Talking about what?
anymore.
Square dancing earlier?
I went from square dancing to later in life, more crazy dancing. Now, not so much. Music, I actually have a tape on my phone, or a thing on my iPhone of things that I listen to go to sleep with. And there are several songs by Bob Dylan, and actually some songs by U2 also. But frankly, I really like classical music.
All right, I'll jump in. If you're, I picked 90s alternative rock as my favorite genre, although I do listen to a lot of stuff. I will share that I take electric bass lessons, and so I picked Jamiroquai as my favorite band because they have wonderful, wonderful bass player. And so then my favorite song of theirs is Don't Give Hate a Chance.
yeah.
So I'm sort of the country and western genre, you know, being a southern girl, I guess, maybe. And I also need to be able to understand the lyrics. I can't.
It's important.
Oh, like my kids will be singing, like, how do you know that's what they're saying? And they're like, can't you just see that, Mom? So, or can't you hear that? And I'm like, no, I don't hear those words in there. So I like country and western because you can, you know, for the most part, make out the words. And my very favorite song is by Leanne Womack of I Hope You Dance. And I love that song. And I think for every kid, they should hear that song. And that's just kind of your hope for every child is I Hope You Dance.
I'm so happy that there's a lot of support for dancing, because dancing is kind of my favorite art. And I do a lot of paintings about ballet and dancing and all that. And it's very special for me, you know, to hear people say that, you know.
Yeah. What type of dancing do you do?
I used to dance a lot of you know, ballroom dancing and all, waltz and a little bit tango and all that. But then I broke my legs and I became kind of disabled to do that. But still, I have big sympathy for that. I think dancing is, involves all arts. You know, one of my favorite songs is Leonard Cohen, "Dance Me to the End of Love." Yeah.
And from Ruthina Malone, varies according to my feeling. For now, I'll go with musical soundtracks. Public Enemy, Billie Holiday, Play the Music for Me.
Let me move to something that's really fun. What kind of food you like, or you like to cook or to eat? I mean, I would like you to move away from all the statistics and data and all this. And just tell me about you're at home in your kitchen now, preparing dinner.
Charlie, you're first.
Go ahead, okay.
Put him on
I
the
thought you
spot.
might ask a question like this.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't cook very much. If my wife is watching this, she will know exactly what I mean. But I do have a few things that I do cook like, and one of them is biscuits. I've been making
that's a difficult task.
Biscuits for throughout the entire time my kids since they were born, and they all still like them, even though they're into adulthood now. They still come home and say, "Why don't you make some biscuits for us?" So I like that. I really like that.
And it's really difficult to keep them fluffy.
It is.
That's
Right.
Yes, and I need to get your biscuit recipe because one of
You can do
my
that. Just go to Betty Crocker. Pull it
I-
right out of there.
I make biscuits and gravy. I'm not the best cook, but that's probably, like for my son, that's probably his favorite thing is biscuits and gravy. And so I do make my gravy from scratch, but my biscuits, I just open up the can. But I should
right.
try to get if your biscuit recipe works. And
I've done open up
Yeah.
the can things.
and I love like
Right,
the
yeah.
chicken and noodles too. Like, you know, when you put it in a crock pot and you just kind of let it cook all day. And
Yeah.
But I'm not a big cook. My kids would tell you that.
Well, I was born in Iowa City, and I was here through 3rd grade, and then we moved to Tucson, Arizona. So I spent a number of years in the Southwest and developed a taste for green chilies. and enchiladas and tacos. But one of my favorite things to make now, I'm not a big cook either, but I like to do cheese stuffed green chilies in the oven. They're good.
That's super. Is it your turn or mine?
Well, you asked a surprise question, so I don't know.
You go now.
Okay. What sort of sports do you practice or watch? Do you participate in any? I know that's a lot of good exercise.
I'll start. I just went to the football game last night. West High just had a quick one it was amazing. It was just an amazing game. We won by 1 point, went into overtime. So that was fun. I mean, if I'm there, I pretty much enjoy probably any sport. But football can sometimes be a little too long for me. But I love girls basketball too. I do love to go down and watch the Hawkeyes when I get the chance. I don't do it as often as I should, but enjoy that too.
Those are really exciting.
Yes, and the women are just amazing.
Yeah.
And Lisa Bluter, phenomenal.
Charlie?
I said in the written response it's badminton, because I played badminton in the Peace Corps in Malaysia, or that's where I learned to play it, and I learned all about it. I haven't played badminton in a long time. Actually, I haven't played any sports in a long time. But that would be something that I have in the past enjoyed. I've also played slow pitch softball, and when our kids were younger too. Right, I actually broke my collarbone playing slow pitch softball when our youngest son was still an infant, which my wife has never forgiven me for doing for playing in that softball game.
Nice. I was a swimmer growing up, but I was raised in a household with college sports fan. So we grew up going to a lot of different college sports. So I put basketball as one of my favorites. I like to play it in the driveway, and I like to go watch basketball games.
And this keeps you very active, right?
Yes.
But your mother is one of the most active people in this community, by the way. I see her everywhere in a lot of, right, Charlie?
Oh, sure,
She's
sure.
there everywhere.
Right.
And that makes me so happy, because we're about the same age. And I can see her moving everywhere. Everywhere I go, she's there, and she has an opinion.
Yes, she
So
does.
are you following her footsteps?
Well, my dad is the sports fan. My mom is very big in following the
Social.
local music scene
Oh,
too,
the music,
and the political scene. Yes.
Great.
And Ruthina Malone says baseball. So not sure if she plays or watches, but the Cubs win.
Oh, she 100% she's watching you now.
Yeah.
So, and we wish her well.
We do.
When it comes to visual arts, is there any artist that you like to see their paintings, or you're interested in visiting some museums, or where is visual art in your life? Like if I come to you at home and look at your walls, what do you expect me to find there?
At my house, you're going to see more walls. we haven't gotten our prints hung up.
You like printmaking?
Well, just we have copies of A Woman in a Window and some things like that. But I do like to go to museums. I do enjoy doing that. But I don't consider myself an art specialist. I think I probably like the Impressionists. And,
like Monet and Renoir and all these
yes.
people. Yeah. The French school, let's say.
We could say that, yeah.
Charlie?
If you come to my house, you'll see what my wife puts on the walls, which she's really good at doing that. And most of the visual art that I have appreciated, is going to museums and seeing the different exhibits there. I was at, I can't remember if it was Cleveland or Chicago last summer, and the displays, that I really try to go are New American, more contemporary things, and some some artists who were drawing and painting in America in the in America in the I don't know 1700s to 1800s or so forth. That trying to get an understanding of what they saw in their artistic work.
Super.
And we don't have much on our walls either, probably a lot like Karen's. And but we do. My husband and I took a trip to Colombia, South America, early in January of this year, and we got a couple of prints from Colombia, and it just kind of pictures of Colombia, it's so vibrant. The colors are so vibrant, and we were in oh my gosh, I can't remember, Cartagena, and I probably didn't say that right, but just they have a walled city. And so just the vibrant colors, it was just beautiful. So that's really all as far as...
So you have your hosts today, Angie and me, are visual artists. So you are good clients if your walls are empty. So let us talk about that after the show, okay?
Okay. Right.
Let us see what Ruthina wrote here. She said her favorite artist, she said, is my husband. And she meant Mr. Malone, who is teaching in our district here, very intelligent and very active art teacher. And her best painter is her daughter, and Victoria, who is as well, she has a black belt in martial arts.
Wow, good for her.
So combining both, yeah. You have another question, or you're done?
I'm out of questions.
You're out of questions. So, what I would like to see you doing now, if you were to select one word to describe yourself, just one word, describe everything about you, and it's the one that really expresses. I know this is a kind of cliche Hollywood question. But I like it because it shows where do you see your strength really. Some people say, empathetic, courteous, passionate. They select words like that, and some people say, well, it's just me. So, it's up to you. If you want to pass this question, we have actually 2 minutes now, so you can elaborate on this and why did you select this word. So you'll have a chance. That was not given to the 3 people before you, because we had constraint of time.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll let you go first.
I would just say sincere. I would say if there's one word, for me it's sincere. It just, I was thinking of passionate, but really it's just the sincerity of just I think my friends and, just I'm sincere if I...
Sometimes it costs you a lot, right?
Yes. Oh, honey, you've known me a long time, haven't you? Yes. Sometimes the sincerity, but I always say to my children, you don't give where you don't get back, and it's always. I think that.
So the word PC doesn't mean a lot to you, right?
PC. Say that again.
PC.
Politically correct.
Oh, politically correct. Right. Exactly.
No. Okay.
Well, it's a small town growing up. It just you say it like you see it, kind of, and that's just I think when you're grow up in a small town, it's kind of just the way it was. Like
Tell it is like it is.
Yeah.
Charlie.
I think I choose persistent. It's what I tell myself all the time, that whatever I'm working towards, whoever I'm working with, whatever what tools I have to continue to do what has to be done, no matter how boring it is at the time, or seems unlikely to succeed at the time. I still have to persist.
Of course, you have, Charlie, you have a legacy here in this community of being everywhere and so much involved for many, many years. I've seen you many times before I knew you in person. But does this mean you have self-confidence, kind of actualization? What keeps you persistent like this?
I don't think I have self-confidence, and I try to avoid being egotistical, not always successfully. But I was thinking about this earlier. and I'll kind of answer a little diversion. I read Marilyn Robinson's books. I've read most of them. In her essay book,
Our local writer.
right. In her book, The Death of Adam, she has one sentence that stuck with me a long time, and that sentence is, no matter what history nor unlikelihood of success you see, you still have the obligation to try to do good. And that seems to drive me a lot.
Karen, you have the last word before they kill me.
Okay, I'm going to say curious.
Curious.
Just interested in learning about a lot of things.
Wonderful. I can tell you how grateful we are, our audience and our staff here at Public Access TV, Dr. G. Aaron, our director, and Mr. Keaton Fuller, who prepared this for us too. As well as, of course, my co-host, I would not forget Angie, who came at the last moment to help us too. You are, again, you are fighters, and keep persisting, and keep being sincere and curious. And on this note, I would say goodbye to our audience who are watching us now, and go on the 12th of September in few hours from now and vote your conscience. We are going to be aired this program. We are going to close now the live transmission. BTH will be running through channel 18 probably a lot during Monday and Tuesday back to back until they close the voting booths. Thank you very much indeed. It was a pleasure and a huge honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, honey.